100 subscribers! Yay! Whatever. Anyway, hello everybody, Tyrone the God 3 here, and welcome to a review I decided to do because why not? Welcome to Pokemon The Origin! Special. Review. Whatever. Anyway, I won't review the plot in its entirety because the plot is pretty simple. It's the red game. It's the Pokemon Red and Blue games. I mean, it doesn't get more different than that. I mean, it basically shows Red, you know, the character Red from the video game. Red's, like, overall animated journey through the Kanto region, obviously. And it's just like the game. A lot of the rules are pretty much exactly like the game. It follows the game pretty much to a T. Even the flashbacks and, like, when it goes from one episode to another and explains what's happened, it explains it just like the Fire Red and Leaf Green versions do when you do something in your journey. So, and the music is pretty much just like the game, only, you know, an anime, like, reorchestrated remix version. The special consisted of about 4 episodes, each covering like major parts of the Pokemon Red games, or at least the parts that were probably the most important in terms of the plot of Pokemon. So it covers Red's journey to, you know, Red's journey, the beginning, obviously, him fighting his rival, him fighting in a gym leader for the first time, I think the Lavender Town crisis, that whole deal, and the also the Team Rocket Slivko incident, and then Team Rocket yet again during the final gym battle, obviously, and then the Pokemon League, and finally some legendary Pokemon and the battle with Mewtwo. So yeah, Red obviously chose Charmander as his first Pokemon in order to implicate that it's Pokemon Red that we're copying off of, where Green, aka Blue if you're in America, picked Squirtle obviously in order to counteract it. And I've got to say the battle style here is very fluid. I love the way the Pokemon do battle in this series. And if anything, if you all have been watching my Pokemon X and Y anime series reviews, you'll know that in the first episode I praised the battle style of X and Y battle as well, because these two are pretty much copying off of each other. Or I wouldn't even say that. I would say that they're doing a lot of things that are similar. The battle style of these Pokemon are starting to become more fast-paced and actiony and more fluid, and each of the movements are starting to become more like moves now. Like, it looks more like I'm looking at an anime fight rather than a slow-paced, repeated animation battle, where Ash will be like, Pikachu, use Iron Tail, and Pikachu does the same animation that he uses in order for Iron Tail, the exact same time, with the exact same swooshy lines in the back to show that it did the animation. It's not that. It's actually showing the Pokemon fighting in a way that seems more realistic, of animals battling each other with the trainers telling them what to do with each move. So that's pretty cool. One of the prime examples is like when Red's Charizard does Mega Punch or Seismic Toss on a Pokemon, and it attacked it so hard that it repeats that attack 3 times. It's like I call it an anime triple take. It's when an attack is so powerful it's just shown 3 times. Either that, or like when they show the attacks that are so powerful, the minute the opponent gets hit, everything freezes and then starts back up again. So yeah, it's cool to see some things like that. As far as like I said, the battles, oh my goodness. One of the battles that comes to mind first is the battle with Green and Red, when freaking Squirtle is battling off against Charmander. Charmander's clearly losing this battle, but Squirtle ends the battle by using Bite, and goddamn was that a sight to see Charmander literally like screaming in pain. It's definitely deep. It's deep. This isn't your children's Pokemon anymore. This has become a little dark. But, you know, I don't mind it. I love it, actually. If anything, I think Pokemon needed to take this mature route a long time ago. I kind of wish that they had did this as a whole series rather than just 4 episodes special, because you can't really explain the entire Kanto plot in just 4 episodes, can you? I mean, yeah, we've already seen Ash do the plot within several hundred episodes of leading to the Kanto's Indigo Plateau League, but to be honest, like, let's be perfectly honest now. I think it would have been a more enjoyable series if we had seen Red battle each of the gym leaders and go through each of the challenges without showing these really big skips. Like, they had a lot of skips, and that was one thing I really didn't like about Pokemon The Origins. There were a lot of skips. Like, there were gym leaders. Pretty much the only gym leader battles they showed off were the battle against Brock, because that was Red's first gym battle, so it was like an iconic moment. And then his battle against Giovanni, because Giovanni is the last gym leader and he's the leader of Team Rocket, so he gained priority. And I gotta say, goddamn, Giovanni was wrecking Red's team with just 2 Pokemon. Holy shit. So that was a thing. Also, quick to notice, the Pokemon don't sound like they're saying their names a lot. Actually, they actually sound like they sound like animals. A lot of them, even Mewtwo, it was very awkward. Like, Mewtwo didn't talk or anything; he just sort of roared really loudly. Yeah, a lot of the Pokemon in the Origin series more or less did noises, and it was very weird. Very weird. Definitely got to say that. It made it seem more realistic though, and I like this realistic view of Pokemon. It's animated, but it's still they're trying to appeal more to a mature audience, and I think they should use this formula a lot more. And judging by how they showed off the Origin series at the very start by showing all of the games that came in the timeline and then going down to all the way to Red, which is obviously the first game. Seeing how they did that makes me think that they're going to do another The Origin series later in the future, only it's going to be gold and silver, obviously. So that'll be an interesting thing to watch. Like, just to see a gold and silver The Origins, and then a ruby and sapphire, and then a diamond and pearl, black and white 2, and then later an X and Y. So yeah, I hope this isn't the last we've seen of the Origin series. I hope this is more. But like I said, one of the downsides was really the skips. I wanted to see Red battle against Misty, Lieutenant Surge, Erica, Koga, Sabrina, Blaine. But we don't get to see those battles. And that really upsetted me. Yeah, because those are iconic battles. I mean, or at least show off like ones like the battle against Red in the Snorlax, because that's definitely memorable. None of the Saint Anne stuff was used, which was very upsetting as well, considering the fact that you have to go to the Saint Anne anyway. But that was only to get an HM cut, so I guess they didn't implement it too well into the story. Some of them answered a lot of questions, like how TMs work, obviously, or at least realistically what a TM would look like in an animated like setting. Another thing was I'm surprised Red didn't get a Master Ball after the Slivko incident. But then again, I like how Red didn't win against Giovanni in the Slivko, because actually when you battle Giovanni in the Slivko, you do lose. You do win. You end up beating Giovanni. You're supposed to beat Giovanni. You end up beating him, or else you can't continue. But in the anime, I guess they decided to make this one of those you lose moments and let him get away, so that the next time Red battles Giovanni, he can win. Then the win would become much more appreciative. So that was pretty cool. Green, aka Blue, if you're in America, is just as snobby and stuck up as he is in the video game, so that didn't change. Like I said, a lot of the video game things really transferred over well to the anime, and considering that they limited themselves by only having the Pokemon use like first generation moves rather than resorting to moves that exist within the second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth generation, that was pretty cool to see the Pokemon resort to all of to first generation. And it definitely made me want to play Pokemon Red, obviously, and that was weird. I like one moment where Red is battling off against Brock, and Brock pretty much teaches him that he needs to use his other Pokemon, because, Red's at a disadvantage, and any trainer who's used Charmander in Red version is at a disadvantage. when they pick their starter, because when you battle Brock, obviously fire types aren't good against rock types, so you gotta find a way to win. Or at least you have to get creative. There's several different ways. You can like catch a Mankey beforehand. You can catch a Caterpie and turn into Butterfree. You can level up Charmander to a really high level and turn into Charmeleon, and it'll have somewhat of a better chance. Or you can catch a Nidoran and evolve it into Nidorino, or have it learn Double Kick. So yeah, and that's pretty much what Red did. I like the attention to detail, even when it came to stat moves. Like they paid attention to a lot of stat moves. Like for example, when Red's battling against Brock, his Onix is pretty much wrecking everything. And one of the ways that Red ends up getting a good win off is because he weakened Onix really hard with a Double Kick, and then had his other Pokemon like slowly weaken Onix as well, only they got beat. And then he had Metapod come out and use String Shot, which didn't do anything, and Metapod ended up getting beat. Then Red finally ended up using Charmander, and it came down to Tackle versus Scratch, and Charmander ended up being faster, but that's only because Metapod used String Shot beforehand. So yeah, I love that. I love that they paid attention to that much detail. That makes for a really good... It made for a really good, believable victory that I'm willing to settle for. Some of them didn't seem as believable and only appealed to if you really like action or you really like an epic battle, like the battle with Red's Charizard versus Blastoise. Because, let's be honest, Charizard should have lost that battle. Blastoise hit Charizard with a fucking Hydro Pump. Yet Charizard lost. There was no way he should have won that. Fire Blast would not have been effective enough to beat Blastoise. I'm not going to believe that at all. But for the sake of epicness, Red won. There was no other way around it. Red won that battle because he had a Deus Ex Machina Charizard, I guess. I don't know. But from what we can see, yeah, realistically, he shouldn't have won. But... you know, when you look at it through an action anime like deal, he won. Yeah, it's kind of unfair, but it's one of those you have to just settle with it. One of the things I also didn't like is that Red didn't have a solid team outside of Charizard. Like, Charizard was literally the only Pokemon that Red had consistently, from Charmander to Charmeleon to Charizard. And we didn't really see Charmeleon battle any Pokemon except for when they were in the Lavender Town Pokemon Tower. So yeah, other than that, I don't think we get any like real battle or real development from any of Red's Pokemon. Because what he ended up doing, he had different ones. He had I know he had Nidoran, Metapod, Rattata one time on one team, and then in another instance we see Red with like a Persian, a Dotrio, and some others. Yeah, he had Persian, Dotrio, some grass type, I don't know, I forgot about. Yeah, it's really hard to remember in detail what he had, but because he had so many, and I like how Red made it his goal to just go ahead and capture all of the Pokemon too. Like, he just went off and captured a lot of the Pokemon. You can see it in a lot of the cutscenes after he beats the league. Once he beats the league, he just makes it a goal to complete the Pokedex, which makes sense. It made sense. If you're like, realistically, if you're playing the video game and you beat the league, there's nothing really else for you to do when you're done playing Pokemon Red except catch the rest of the Pokemon. So I believe it. I believe it. It was definitely a believable goal. He ended up catching like other ones like Pikachu. He ended up fishing for some. It was very weird. It's like Red's mindset was just to catch all the Pokemon. It was very, very funny. One of the things I thought was weird, obviously, is that he caught legendaries. He caught Zapdos, Moltres, and Articuno, which technically shouldn't. Well, I guess in this world it doesn't matter because it was based off the video game, so it didn't really take a big. It was a believable thing, I guess, in the confines of the video game. Yet we have Charizard beating Blastoise, which isn't a thing, but you know. it was cool to see someone actually aim to catch them all, because in a lot of the episodes of the anime, like Ash's adventures in the anime, catching them all doesn't really matter. It's just not that big of a thing, especially now where there's like over 700. Where back then it was Red only had to catch 150. And which leads us to our 150th Pokemon, Mewtwo, because obviously I'm not going to forget this part of the Origin Special. I just saved it for later. Later on in the Origin Special, things take a turn for the weird. I say this because he has to catch Mewtwo, because they really dive deep into like the history of Mewtwo. When Red stumbled upon that book when he was on Cinnabar Island in the abandoned laboratory, where he reads the book, and then the abandoned mansion, excuse me, when he reads the book and he finds out about Mewtwo from that, and then when he's done beating the league, they choose Red, obviously because he's the strongest trainer now, to go in and investigate the Mewtwo thing in Cerulean City Cave. Go in and investigate what's going on in there so he can go ahead and capture Mewtwo. So Red ends up finding out about Mewtwo, but Professor Oak doesn't just leave Red to go catch Mewtwo. He ends up giving Red the Mega Stone. The Mega Stone and the Mega Bracelet Stone needed to evolve Charizard into Mega Charizard. So this is where things take a turn for the weird, because Mega evolving isn't a Generation 1 thing. It isn't in the Kanto region at all. It's not within the confines of Kanto at all. So it also made me think that maybe the Kalos region and the Kanto region happened at the exact same time. Or at least based on the storyline that they've given us. Because the way they've depicted the story now, it would seem that around the time that Professor Sycamore and the others had discovered a Mega Evolution was around the same time that Red was more or less completing his goals in the Kanto region. So they gave Red a Mega Stone in order to test it out against Mewtwo, which is weird because you can't Mega Evolve in the confines of Pokemon Red. But regardless, I guess Pokemon The Origins was probably just made to promote Mega Charizard X. That's what I think. And that's the whole reason why Mega Charizard X existed in the first place. Because when Red ends up battling against Mewtwo, which Mewtwo sounds very weird by the way, he starts roaring and shit. Red ends up like getting all of his Pokemon's asses whooped. Like his Jolteon, his Dotrio, his other Pokemon. Yeah, they end up losing, and then he ends up battling with using Charizard, and Charizard gets his ass kicked, and they're both in the water because they both got knocked in the water, and then Red ends up using the Mega Stone to evolve Charizard into Mega Charizard X, which looks badass, by the way. And finally, Mega Charizard X puts a good fight against Mewtwo and does this like triple take-to-ass Mega Punch, which did so much damage, and Red ended up catching Mewtwo with an Ultra Ball. So, yeah. And kudos to the game for teaching us why Pokeballs, once they fail, you can't use them again. Because in Ash's anime, when a Pokeball fails, it just opens back up again and flies away. Like, you can still use that ball again. But in Pokemon The Origins, when a Pokeball fails, the Pokemon literally breaks the entire Pokeball apart. Like, they rip it open and shit. Like, it's unusable now. It's completely been turned into bits and pieces. So, yeah, kudos to them for actually giving a reason why you would run out of Pokeballs rather than just use the same one over and over. Overall, having Charizard Mega Evolve at the very end of it, I'm not going to complain about it. Yeah, no sense in it. Like I said, The Origins was probably made just to celebrate Pokemon X and Y because it was so close to its release date. And also, because, they were probably trying to promote Mega Charizard X anyway. So, yeah, kudos to them for that, I guess. And overall, I liked it all, but like I said, I wish it had been in more than just 4 episodes. It definitely, when you give, like, even if you had to make it certain episodes, I would at least make it 8. just to make up for, each gym leader that exists within the confines of the Kanto region. It's like, if you have to speed it up, there's no development between any of Red's Pokemon with the exception of probably Charizard. Because, Red rotates his team a lot, and he makes it his goal to capture like 100, all 150, rather than to just have a team of 6 like Ash usually does. I really hope that they sequel this and do a gold and silver version of Pokemon The Origin, because the Johto region is my favorite, and I definitely would love to see it. One of the things, and I also thought it was fun to note that while they were doing the research on Mewtwo, they learned that Mewtwo was a clone of Mew. So Red stops and thinks about it for a second. If Mewtwo is a clone of Mew, then there's not 150 Pokemon. There's 151 Pokemon. Time for me to go capture Mew. So he makes it his goal to try to capture Mew, but it never happens. Or maybe it does, who knows, but there's no real way to capture Mew in the confines of Pokemon Red and Blue unless you enter an event or cheat the game up with an action replay. So, yeah, there you go. And that was pretty much the gist of the entire plot. It covered some major things, obviously, like Red's encounter with Slivko, the Lavender Town mess, Red's first battle against his rival, the first battle against the gym leader, his battle against Giovanni. The league matches were the league match, because they skipped all of the Elite Four battles except for Green, obviously, or Blue if you're from America, because obviously that battle is the most important. And they even skipped around with those for a little bit. Like the first battle, they actually showed things happening, but when it came to Green or Blue if you're from America, and Red's rest of their Pokemon, they just showed like images of those Pokemon fighting. And then when Green/Blue if you're from America used the Blastoise, then they started showing like actual movement in the battles again. Also, with that said, the Pokemon moved very weird. Like their bodies it seemed like they were breathing, which makes sense. They need to breathe. But they were like breathing while standing perfectly still, so their bodies would move a lot. And it wasn't awkward. It was different. It was a different way of coming at Pokemon. I definitely think that this should be a style that's used more often. Like, they shouldn't stray away from making Pokemon this realistic. I think this was the type of thing that we need in order to make Pokemon, or at least the anime of Pokemon, more interesting, because X and Y series could take a lesson from this type of battling. I know they're not going to do everything like this series did, but I will say that it wouldn't hurt to step up their game. Because I really like the way the Origin showed off battles. Like the few battles there were, I like the way they showed them off. Also, another fun thing, there was like a psychic or a priestess or whatever that tells you in the game that there's a hand that's floating above your shoulder. And in Pokemon The Origins, there actually is a hand. Like, you can see it and everything. You have to look really, 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 really close, though. But it's hard to see, but it's there. It is freaking there. So, yeah, that's a noticeable thing. It was very fun to watch. Like I said, improvements, I wish it was longer. That's all. I wish it was longer. I wish Red had a solid team of Pokemon that he could have grown up with, so that I could feel more like it. The show's about Pokemon, so I want to see the Pokemon's personalities. But since Red rotated between Pokemon so many times, I didn't get the chance to do that. So that was one of the things. Like I said, gym leaders, I wish they didn't skip those. Or just, not even just gym leaders, certain events that happen in the game in general. Because we all know that in every Pokemon game, you don't just beat one gym leader, go to the next town, and beat the next one. Like, there's always, like, some obstacle in between. Like, once you get done beating Brock, you go through Mount Moon, then you end up in Cerulean City and battle against Misty. Then once you're done with Misty, you do the whole situation that happened where you battle against Team Rocket and the house so you can get the move Dig. and then you move down to the Saint Anne. Oh, you meet up with Bill, the Pokemon researcher. Then you go to the Saint Anne and get the move cut, and you can move on to Vermilion City. Then once you pass Vermilion City, there's more stuff to do. Yeah, it's never just one solid point A to point B gym leader. It's never that simple. But I do like how they for 4 episodes they did a good job of summing everything up within the universe of Pokemon Red and Green, or Blue if you're from America. So they did a good job summing it up. Like I said, it should have been longer. That's my only real complaint. You can't sum up the Kanto region in just 4 episodes. I appreciate that it was just a special, so I didn't expect them to. Some people speculated that it was going to be 1 episode. Some people thought it was just going to be an hour-long thing. I'm glad it was about 4 episodes long, and I enjoyed each one. I'm just saying that it could have been longer. That's my only complaint. But overall, I love the level of maturity they took with this. They didn't treat it as if it were like a kiddie thing, and they didn't treat it like it should be for kids. Or they didn't. I think even Red in mid battle, I think Red goes damn, like he cusses. This kid's supposed to be 10, and he's cussing. But then again, it's Japan; they don't give a shit. But yeah, he's cussing in mid battle, and I'm like, whoa. And like things look very, very discreet. Also, I wanted to also comment on the gym leader boards. They showed it in Brock's gym and Giovanni's, where like the gym leader, when the gym leader battle starts, it'll show Red and Giovanni or Red and Brock, and it'll show each of the Pokemon they use, and it'll show a health bar. They also showed this when Red was battling off against Green, or Blue if you're from America. And they showed the health bar, and when every time a Pokemon took super effective damage, the health bar would zoom down, or if it was not very effective, it would go down a little bit. My only question, I respect that they did this, and it makes sense, and it made things more realistic to the video game. All of it made perfect sense. My only question is, how is the monitor able to keep track? Like, what piece of technology was able to study how much health a Pokemon has? Like, what could really determine that? Yeah, that confuses me. It brought me some confusion. I don't know exactly what method is used in order to determine any of that. But I gotta say, I respect that it was there. I respect that there was some meter to keep track of it, but goddamn, like, I remember, like, Giovanni would hit Red's Pokemon once, and that health bar would zoom straight to 0. I'm like, goddamn, Red, did you train any of these Pokemon at all? Because his Rhyhorn is wrecking through them. It's like, holy shit. But, yeah. So it was good to see attention to detail paid like that. It raised some questions. That's all. I should probably end it about here. I've said all I can say. I love Pokemon The Origins. It was a really good series. I hope they continue to do something like this, and I hope they choose a chance to expand upon this some more, especially considering the fact that if they did a Gold and Silver The Origin series, then they have no choice but to make it longer than 4 episodes. You can't sum up the entire Johto region plot and Kanto region plot in just 4 episodes. Also considering the fact that Gold ends up battling Red at the very end. So yeah, you would have to make it longer. You would have to make it much longer than what it is. Like, I don't see them only making it 4 episodes long. It can't be. But like I said, with that said, that is pretty much all I had to say. And, you know, I said 100 subscribers at the beginning of this video. I want to thank all of the people who have supported me. I know 100 subscribers is not a lot by any means. But I respect it. I respect the amount of subscribers I have. I respect the even if it's a low number, I feel like this may be better because it gives me a chance to at least learn who my subscribers are, who the people who are supporting me are on a personal level, or at least a level to where I know that these people can appreciate the videos I've been making, and I don't make them to gain subscribers. I only said it because I just noticed it today that I have 100. I haven't paid attention to my subscribers list at all because I don't expect to get to get millions of subscribers. I don't do the videos for that. I do the videos because I enjoy doing them. So with that said, thank you all for your support. Have a great day or night or wherever in the world you are. I'm Tyrone the God 3 out.